It's the Machine of Nonsense, episode 125, and we're talking a galaxy far, far away. That's right, Star Wars, everyone. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Kayla.
Hey, hey.
And we've got two more Star Wars fans in the house. Aaron, you're a Star Wars fan. A Star Wars fan on mute.
I am. I'm all those things. Yeah.
And D, you're not on mute, but also a Star Wars fan?
This is not the Star Wars fan you're looking for.
Oh, no. No. Oh, yeah. So we're going to be talking the state of Star Wars. I took a look at everything that Star Wars has either already come out with or will come out with soon since Rise of Skywalker, a pretty dreadful movie. And it's a lot. It's more than I thought. And we recently got Star Wars Celebration, in which they made a lot of announcements. We got some trailers. We got some details on a new 3-pack of movies that we're getting in the Star Wars universe. And I think this is a good time to talk about kind of where we are in Star Wars, especially because 3 of us have been playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the new game from Respawn and EA, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, a game in 2019 that was really well received and well received by us, a game I thoroughly enjoyed. You dug that first one pretty well also, right, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's in two of my favorite games I ever played. Well, until I like Survivor more, so I guess they're both in there. No.
And you liked it too, Kayla, right?
I did. I would probably say it's one of my favorite games too.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean it's worthy of it. It's a full-ass Star Wars adventure. D, have you played Fallen Order, the original in the series?
I actually have played Fallen Order. I was introduced to it by my older brother, who has played it, completed it, so he's been salivating and talking my ear off about it.
Yeah. Fallen Order was a lot of fun. If you're not familiar, it follows Cal Kestis, a young, like, he's about 20, 18, 20, something like that. Jedi in hiding. He survived Order 66. He survived the purge of the Jedi, and he's been hiding out. And a series of events forces him to reveal himself and kind of puts him on a journey. And then this new game takes place, I think, maybe like 5 years later. There's an amount of time has passed, but do you know how much, Aaron? I haven't gotten it yet.
It's 5 years. It's in the opening. He says the past 5 years I've been doing. It almost feels like more like the way the story opens up about like the original group splitting up. Like it makes it seem like they haven't talked in years, but it's only been 5 years since the first game. So like they had to have split up pretty quick.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it does take place like you kind of early on. Kayla and I are about 5 hours into it right now. But it takes place 5 years later, but it feels very connected to me. Like you jump kind of right back into Cal's story, Cal's like life and everything else, and it feels like a real extension of that first game. And one reason is that they don't do the thing that a lot of sequels do, where they like take away all your powers and everything else. You have basically your full arsenal from the beginning. You're different. You got a couple different lightsaber styles. You got force moves, your double jump, all kinds of really cool stuff that you don't have to. It really wouldn't make sense in the narrative to take any of that stuff away. And I'm glad that they did that, because a lot of games just like Horizon Forbidden West, like early on they're like all my stuff's gone, it happens.
Darn.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And not to pick on Forbidden West, because like 90% of games do that in a sequel. So, what are you feeling so far, Kayla, on this one?
Everything that you've already said. To the actual playing of it too, I wanted to mention earlier in the pre-show, D had mentioned that he's back to playing. You're playing Zero Dawn or not yet?
Yes.
Horizon. Okay, well, we recently also played The Burning Shores. That
DLC, yeah.
that felt harder to jump back into, whereas this Jedi Survivor, it's just, yep, this is smooth. It makes sense. The buttons like feel natural. It was a lot easier to go back to a game that I haven't played since 2019 instead of a game that I played a year and a half ago. Feels good.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting to say that because like there's just so many more systems in play in like Horizon, and I'd even say like in God of War earlier that last year, just like whatever it is about the Jedi kind of like movement and play style, combat, all of that, it's a little easier to just like navigate it. At least I found it that way. How do you feel like comparing the like different games like that? You've played a lot of Horizon and whatnot, Aaron.
Yeah, it's way more intuitive, I would say, than Horizon was. I think Horizon's built so much around the ranged combat that a lot of her other weapons and abilities are sort of, they take a back seat and they get kind of like the corners of the controller they don't expect you to use as much. And then I think they, weirdly enough, yeah, this stuff I only used to get achievements, and then I never used again. But and then even with like even though there are only 3 different weapons in God of War, I still felt like there was too much going on. And I know there's like double the amount of play styles now, and I guess as you get further into Jedi Survivor, but it's really intuitive. Even all the fighting styles feel so like different and distinct, but they all make so much sense with the controller. And it's just
Excited to see that more.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what's really cool is they force you, because you can't just like, it's not like a lot of games like, so let's say God of War, where some people are vulnerable to one type of style. It's more like you find the style that works for you, because you can only actually carry 2 with you at any given time. You can't just go from cross guard to dual blade to single blade. You can only have 2 to switch between, and then you have to go back and change which ones you have with you.
Like, holy shit, that weapon wheel in Horizon is
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's so much.
I used one bow. That's it. I got a good version of the regular bow, and then I ignore everything else.
Eric likes to have everything.
Oh yeah.
I agree, Eric. I agree.
It's especially in that second Horizon with all like that they really amped up like the elements and everything. Like having access to all the different elements on different weapons was a lot of fun. But it's such a juxtaposition going from playing Horizon to playing like the real kind of stripped down, kind of, not to call it basic like as if it's a bad thing, but it is just a very kind of like easy to pick up combat and easy to use combat in Jedi Survivor. Yeah, intuitive, I think you said, Aaron. I think that
Right.
definitely fits the bill. What else? Is there anything else you want to note about it?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Like, well, I think it's really easy to pick up, but I think it's a lot harder to master on it, because as you move further along, particularly when you fight against things that don't just die with 1 or 2 hits, which I love that the B1 battle droids are in the game. That's amazing. But when you fight the harder things, like you can't, like your dodging doesn't take you far enough away to not get hit. You have to time it right if you don't want to get hit, and things like that. And it's really hard to do with some of the later enemies, like the Magna Guard, who like twirls things at you and you just can't get away from them. And then other than that, I watching the trailer, and you see throughout all the trailers leading up to the game that he's got a blaster now. The blaster saber combat is so cool.
Ooh.
And it's like it's a completely different style. Like he almost is like fencing with the sword while he has the blaster. Like he only like jabs forward, and then you like shoot from under the arm and stuff. It's so cool.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the fleshing out of the fighting styles, which goes back to like all the expanded Star Wars universe, where it's like put forth that every single Jedi fights completely differently, like to their own style. Where when you play the game, you literally find your own style of fighting. It's pretty cool.
What do
I
you
like that.
What do you guys think of Cal Kestis as a character? I feel like he gets a lot of kind of flack for being kind of boring as a character. I think he's kind of compelling. I mean, at least compared to much of what I've kind of read and heard.
He could be a lot worse.
Right.
I mean, he is so far in Survivor. I feel like he's at least blossomed a little bit. He's shown a little bit more of like, no, I can't just walk away from this. Like this means something to me. I want to see it through. And he doesn't have like the personality that like Nathan Drake has, but that's setting the bar real high.
Yeah, I mean, he's cool. They bring him a little more out of his shell. Like he's a Boy Scout. There's no way around that. He's not one of those characters that's ever going to make the wrong decision. His whole thing is like to a fault. He won't stop fighting. So I mean, if you don't like basically uncomplicated good guys, I guess you won't like him. But he's really good and he's funny. They give him more chances to not be so serious and boring. Like there's a lot of instances in this game where if you wait to attack groups of enemy while they're talking, he'll like respond as he attacks them or after they're dead and stuff. It's pretty cool. They let him blossom out more of that. That and his interactions with BD are a lot more. It's a lot more heartfelt in this one than it was in the last one. Like he genuinely loves BD, and BD you can tell feels the same way back, which is pretty cool.
Every time they meet somebody, he's like, "And this is BD. This is someone you must also meet."
He's saving the galaxy single-handedly.
Right.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Always gives BD credit.
Yeah. I'm really excited to keep going on that one. I've heard it's pretty beefy. I've heard it's like 30, 35 hours kind of to see most of it, and then maybe some more to really get everything out of it. So, yeah.
But scoring is a lot less linear than Fallen Order. Like, you just wander around, you could just miss stuff. It's hard to explore everything.
Yeah, even early on, it feels like, oh, this is more of like an open world game than the other one was more of like a semi-open Metroidvania kind of style.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm sorry. And the last thing I added about it is like, I think it's really expanded on so much more than what the game was, because before it was just you're doing missions, you can do a little side stuff here and there, but in this there's bounties, there's collecting unique artifacts to trade for lightsaber pieces or blaster pieces or costume. I like that you can find different beards out in the wild to switch with those.
Finding a beard.
There's so much more of that. And there's just like you talk to people who give you hints to certain areas and it lights up on your map, and they really expanded just on what you can do in the game, and it's really cool.
There was a wonderful tweet that I saw because you can get a mullet and like a big like mustache, and it was like, Cal, what would you do with 1 million credits? And he said, 2 Twi'leks at the same time, man. It's good. I saw multiple people kind of sharing that one, and yeah, my favorite tweet of this week. But yeah, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is just one thing in a long line of stuff that we've gotten since Rise of Skywalker. Are we all in agreement that Rise of Skywalker was really bad?
Right. I don't think so. I actually enjoyed a lot of the movie.
Okay.
I don't like somehow he's back. Obviously that's shitty. Most of the movie that related to Palpatine didn't make sense. I liked, I guess, how Rey and Kylo were played, or Ben Solo at that point. I think the fight scenes, I think most of the inner, like,
ooh, with the guards.
Yeah, with the Praetorians, that was awesome. Like, that's one of the best fight scenes in almost all of Star Wars. I like, if it wasn't, I hate to say if it wasn't for the shitty story, it'd be a good movie. But it's like they took a lot of really good scenes and were like, let's tie it together with this. Somehow he's back, which was really shitty because there's actually really good ways they could have brought him back, and was repeatedly brought back when the expanded universe was still around. But I mean, I didn't hate the movie. It wasn't as bad as The Last Jedi.
Oh, interesting.
But I liked it. I don't love it, but
Where do you have it? So you have it above Last Jedi. Where do you have it on like the 9? Like,
well, if it's out of the 9, then it's number 8.
okay, gotcha.
I just don't hate it. I mean, it's not Revenge of the Sith, but it's it's better than The Last Jedi, and that's kind of where it sticks. Better than Last Jedi, worse than the rest of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was your take. What take do you have on that?
If I'm being honest, I remember like 3 parts of that movie. It just did not stick with me because of the story. It was just really hard for me to buy into the movie, even though it had, Aaron made a great point. Like, it has a bunch of great, like, just set pieces. I do remember the fight. Now that you bring it up, it's super cool. It really kind of like referenced a lot of expanded universe stuff in the fight, but again, it was a lot of like threading things together instead of it being a whole put together story. And I think that's kind of where I checked out. And I was just kind of like, what part are we at? Are they fighting each other? So it kind of lost my interest. Same with Last Jedi. I just kind of lost my interest.
Ugh.
I like some of the swings in these movies. I like to see that somewhere they wanted to do something different and branch out, but then production, executives.
Then they were scared of being too different, and they made the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just yeah, exactly that. They just made the same thing.
Always their problem. Like, they always will sprinkle in stuff that's really cool and then bring up the Skywalkers again, or bring up fucking Palpatine. Like, who in the world needed Palpatine? Like, nobody cared. And
Right.
we were moved on. We wanted a different big bad. Snoke was so cool, and then they were like, nah, who cares about that guy?
Like, going back and watching the sequel trilogy so much, like, because they scrapped, I keep talking about the expanded universe, but they scrapped the expanded universe to give them room to make the sequel trilogy, and then just cannibalized half of like the major plot points, like obviously the sequel trilogy, some of the major characters are Ben Skywalker, who's Luke's son, as opposed to Leia's. But he's a big figure. And then there's the twins who fall to the dark side, which mirror Kylo Ren and Rey completely, because one of the twins falls to the dark side and one doesn't, and they have to fight each other. They just copied so much, and a recurring theme in the expanded universe was, oh my god, there's another clone of Palpatine. So I thought it was going to be more of an Easter egg, but they went hard at it. They made it all, and he's like attached to this machine. Like, surely the Sith don't love him that much. They have to keep doing this.
Yeah.
No, they are so full of themselves. A Sith wants himself. He is gonna, or he or she is gonna kill everybody around them to be the one.
Right, and I feel like Mandalorian's trying to. They're just trying to be like, we're saving the story of the sequel trilogy. Just watch The Mandalorian.
They're trying. They are trying. We'll definitely get to that. Yeah, I just like. There's a line for me, like, coming out of Rise of Skywalker. I was on such a high from Force Awakens. I thought that was just like such a great kind of reintroduction to Star Wars at the movies, and loved like Finn and Rey and all the possibilities of where you could kind of go with their stories, and I like The Last Jedi well enough, nowhere near as much as I like Force Awakens. I thought it was like 2 movies, kind of. There was like a bad half and a good half in Last Jedi for me, but like I was still like, okay, Rise of Skywalker can save whatever like Last Jedi kind of didn't work for me. Like Rise of Skywalker can kind of wrap this all up and give like Finn the full arc that he needs, and Rey and Poe Dameron and stuff, and they just like so many of them are just left to the wayside. Rey gets the one thing that like I really do dig is Rey gets her kind of full arc, regardless of kind of like what got her there. I did kind of like where it leaves her off and her as a character, and it's actually something I'm kind of excited for the future. We're going to talk about like some
she's getting another arc.
We're and I'm mildly like interested in what we're getting there, but like for me, Rise of Skywalker was just this dividing line of like, man, Star Wars might not be good anymore. I don't know like if I'm excited for future Star Wars anything. And since then, we've gotten a bunch, and like I would say it's more good than bad, at least for me. And we can have that discussion. But since Rise of Skywalker, we've had Andor, we've had Obi-Wan Kenobi, we've had Star Wars Vision Season 1, basically two seasons of The Mandalorian, 2.5. Like the first season was kind of going on at the same time. Bad Batch Season 1 and 2, Tales of the Jedi Season 1 and Season 2 actually starts tomorrow, May the 4th, when this episode will hit. And we've had the Book of Boba Fett. We'll not talk about that. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which we are all kind of gaga about right now. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, one of the best games of last year, honestly.
One of the greats.
Really good. A really great Star Wars Lego game. And Star Wars Squadrons, which was like pretty solid, like an okay game as well. There's some stinkers in there. I don't think any of us really dug Book of Boba Fett at all. It was on our least favorite of last year for the pod. But to me, there's more good than bad. And some of it I've really, really enjoyed. Like some of The Mandalorian I think is really, really good. Andor, I didn't love as much as like Mike did, for example. I know he was really big into it, but everyone else I think in the world loves Andor, and I think that Season 2 is exciting. I think it's more good than bad. Would you guys agree, or where are you like with all the post Skywalker content? Kayla, you can start off.
I would say most of the good is when they have taken a new character, or maybe not a character that's just not as well known, and went along with the story with them. Like Andor, it takes place during a timeline that we know. And even like sometimes I'm like, oh, you get worried because we know what's going to happen at the end. Like we know the storyline that Andor takes place in, but they just take a totally different sidestep with the story about it, and it's good. Obi-Wan Kenobi, we know what's going to happen. We know these people. It had nice pretty things to look at and things I wanted to see, but fizzled out. I love Bad Batch. All the things that have like new people are what's good. I mean, Cal Kestis is great. I want to see more of that. Book of Boba Fett? Not so much.
Yeah, there's kind of a theme of like, all these like legacy characters are kind of the least kind of exciting aspects of it. I would more or less agree on that. I had hope for Obi-Wan, and that one was like a kind of mid for me, personally.
Like the only thing that doesn't fall into that is the Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, true.
They do nothing different except for we're Lego people that get to just roam around and do it ourselves and be fun.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the Star Wars universe too, right? Like you do like to revisit some of those things if you can like do it in a way that conceptualize it differently. Like Lego's just funny, like everything's like hilarious. So it's that aspect's great. How about you, D? Like what do you generally like? Have you checked out a lot of this like post movie content and everything on Disney Plus and the games and whatnot?
Yeah, I've consumed like a bigger portion of it. I didn't finish Book of Boba Fett, but that was mostly because I was watching it with my mother, if I'm being honest. Which is kind of like for me, I generally agree, but like some of the stuff I think I'm looking at like they are recognizing fully like really investing in the potential of Star Wars as its own, you know, uh, cash generating studio machine. But in like the early phases, like you guys were saying, like we were getting some that kind of like fizzled out. Like Obi-Wan wasn't like a 10 out of 10 for me, but it was really good for me in the sense of like I had something to talk with my mom because she got me into Star Wars. So like for her, it was like, oh, I finally get to see this piece of, you know, the story that I wanted to see finally. And I think there's a lot of they wanted to book in some stuff so that we could move on and get like the Jedi Survivor game, which again, I'm bumping things out of the way because I kind of want to. I've been. This is one of the ones I've been like kind of salivating over. And the Mandalorian, like the Mandalorian, has its ups and downs, but I mean, it's moving. It's moving the goalposts. You know, it's like it's pushing. It pushed that quality up. It pushed the, you know, like don't be afraid to, you know, grab a character from the expanded universe and plop them in there. And especially with the latest season, like that, those tie-ins and everything. I'm really excited to see how they handle and continue to expand where they're going with all this.
Question: have you seen Clone Wars, or Aaron? Either of you?
I've seen Clone Wars and Rebels.
Nice.
I'm sorry, Aaron. What did you say?
I haven't finished them.
Do you feel like disconnected from Mandalorian? Like you don't know a lot about what's going on?
Oh, it's not complicated, and I know the general story of what happened. So,
I've
I'm
seen
not like one of
people
those
say that.
Right. It's not a complicated story, and it's been around long enough that it's not out there. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, more Bo-Katan Kryze, but I think they've realized how much Din Djarin doesn't really have depth to his character. And I think it's cool that they've added people who have a drive other than to do fetch quests for 3 seasons. So
Yeah,
Hey, sometimes you got to grind the levels out, Aaron.
I feel like they do a fine job explaining it.
Right, yeah, they give backstory. They don't make you feel like you have to have watched the previous stuff with the Mandalorian guys in it. So they don't assume you know, which is nice.
That is good. Yeah, I always wonder about that because we saw all of Rebels, all of Clone Wars, loved them, and then you've got like Ahsoka showing up, you've got different some Rebels characters showing up, you've got different things, and even like in the trailer for Ahsoka, we'll talk about that, like even further expanded upon these various characters that we've seen in other things, and it's a little almost. It's a concern for me of like, okay, if you haven't checked out all this stuff, or if you don't quite remember, because it's been like years since we've watched Clone Wars or watched Rebels or anything else, it's like, even like what generation of the story things are taking place sometimes is a little like iffy. It's like, oh, this is pre A New Hope, this is post Return of the Jedi. Okay, cool. Like catching your bearings sometimes on a lot of this stuff can be something. But I think it's on an upswing, and one of the things that got me really hyped and really excited for doing this episode was all the announcements at Star Wars Celebration. We got quite a bit. We got the Ahsoka trailer dropped. I mentioned that. We can go over that here. We got 3 new movies were announced. A little bit of more information on the Acolyte, and a little bit more information on Skeleton Crew as well. Starting with the Ahsoka trailer. It's coming in August, so it's soon. August 2023. If you're not familiar, this follows Ahsoka Tano, character kind of created for the Clone Wars, or featured at least in the Clone Wars. animated stuff going to be played by, gosh, now I'm losing her name.
Rosario
Dawson, yes. She's already made appearances in both Mandalorian and Boba Fett at this point, or was it just? I forget. See, that's another thing. It's like, which one? Because you got Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Mandalorian.
In Mandalorian. Wonderful pick. I mean, she really especially as an older Ahsoka. This age, we haven't really seen this brand of Ahsoka, this age, kind of fully wizened up and everything else. Rosario Dawson's such a great kind of physical actor. I feel like she can really embody that character. A character me and Kayla love. We tried real hard to get her deep on the bracket of nonsense. But this seems like it's going to be a full-on Star Wars Rebels reunion. The trailer shows bunch of characters from Rebels, the animated show. The voice actor Lars Mikkelsen of Thrawn, the kind of main big bad of Rebels, will be playing the live action version as well, and he's going to be a big bad in this. Aaron, you could probably speak to Thrawn from an expanded universe kind of angle. I only know him from Rebels. Super cool, super stoic, just smartest guy in the room, badass. But I've heard so much about how integral he is to a lot of stories in the expanded universe.
Yeah, he's a lot like the clones of Emperor Palpatine. Most of the bad guys end up being him behind it somehow, which is cool because they're all a running serialized show at some point. So he's always in there. He's such a cool villain for Star Wars, though. He's a little different. It's rare for them to have a villain in Star Wars or even heroes in Star Wars that aren't Jedi or Sith. So it's really cool to have him in there.
Is the guy at the end of the bar in Jedi Survivor, is he of the same race? Have you run into him?
Super random question.
That is so random.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, okay. There's
in Grease's bar.
Right. Yeah. There's just a blue guy, and he kind of looks like Thrawn. I was like,
yeah,
oh man, is that Thrawn? Why is he here?
And he's kind of a dick. He's like, why are you talking to me? Go somewhere else.
Yeah, that guy kind of sucks. And then his partner's like, oh, don't be so mean. But then she's not really that much nicer. Also, what's really cool is at that table where the person with the hat down, she doesn't want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Well, she's a bounty hunter. You see her later, but she is the same race as Kit Fisto.
Nice. I thought so. I thought I saw some Fisto,
which is really
hair.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. D, it seems like you're a big Rebels fan, right? And probably pretty excited for Ahsoka.
Yeah. I mean, I was Rosario Dawson showed up on screen as Ahsoka, and I was like, I'm watching this. I was already bought in, and then they started sprinkling the Rebel stuff, and I was like, wait, hold up. And then, of course, as soon as the celebration news dropped and I saw everything, I'm like, oh, they're getting the gang back together. Let's go. So, that's going to be a big drawing point. Cause I know some of my younger friends, they kind of missed the Clone Wars ship and they binged and then they watched all of Rebels as it came out. So it's just kind of it's getting those, it's really getting those multi-generational fans to buy into one show.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm incredibly hyped for it.
I'm happy it's so soon. It was announced a while back, I feel, and we really didn't have they had a vague it'll probably be 2023 kind of thing, and then for them to give us an actual kind of at least a month. I don't think we have a day yet, but
I'll take it. Take it.
I think I remember Rosario Dawson was the one who was yo, I want to play Ahsoka. Before they even had it, she was putting it out there hey, this is a character I want to be. Let's make it happen. And now we're gonna get it.
Yeah. It's great. She's kind of one of those celebrity nerds. She always has been. She's just always kind of been pushing for those kind of roles and stuff like that. So Maybe I'll remember her name from now on. That'd be great. So that's Ahsoka coming in August. Really excited for that one. But there were a bunch of other announcements and some information passed on as well. So the Acolyte, we're getting that in 2024. This takes place in the High Republic area. Carrie-Anne Moss is in this one, and it's going to be from the perspective of a Sith, kind of one of the first ever stories, at least on Disney Plus / any of the movies or anything, where we really get the perspective of a Sith, as well as like anything in the High Republic. There's been plenty of like comics and expanded stuff and whatnot, but nothing mainline like canon stuff of the High Republic.
Like Anakin Skywalker.
Like Anakin Skywalker.
Who?
Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, as in a Sith.
Sith.
Gotcha. Yeah, but he's Jedi, Sith, all of
see
that.
Why?
What?
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker was a Jedi Knight.
Darth Vader killed him.
Darth Vader killed him.
Right. Did you even watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kayla?
Sure.
What?
This
Come
is
on.
all propaganda.
I had no hope. It's in the first half hour. I think it's cool because what's cool about the High Republic is the level of Jedi there are. Number one, there's way more of them at that time, because it's supposed to be by the time you see Skywalker trilogy, like the Skywalker, I guess, trilogy of trilogies. It's like it had already started to wane, and they were sensing they were coming to an end anyway. But at this time, it's when it's at its height. A lot of Jedis are traveling as researchers and like adventurers just to search out the galaxy. And then also during that time, there's two separate times when the Sith amass huge armies and try to take over the galaxy. So I wonder if it's going to be during one of those times or just one of the times they're hidden.
Yeah, they haven't announced a ton of this. They showed some footage but it was all like closed door type stuff for the Acolyte. So just excited to be in a different time period. We know we're not going to get any more Skywalker stuff. I always did Carrie-Anne Moss. You'll see her soon, D, in Forbidden West.
I love her. She's so great.
She's really good. So yeah, that's the Acolyte. We'll get that in 2024 at some point. Skeleton Crew's another series that we're getting. Jude Law is a Jedi in this one, but he's with a crew of children. They've said it's kind of like an E.T., Goonies, like that type of vibe. The thing that really excites me about this one, Jude Law, I like Jude Law a lot, but they announced all of the episode directors, and like John Watts from the Spider-Man movies, like Homecoming and whatnot, the newer Spider-Man movies, David Lowery from The Green Knight, and the Daniels of Everything Everywhere All at Once fame are all directing episodes of this one. So it's like a really cool kind of crew of directors, kind of eclectic in a lot of ways, but also I think the type of directors I want to be in like a weird Star Wars one-off kind of thing. I don't know if this is going to be like a limited series or whatnot. I don't know how much you can pull from like Jude Law, the Jedi watches a bunch of kids, but yeah, that excites me about that one. I know you're a big Jude Law fan, Kayla.
Jude Law is like Star Wars packaged up. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. He's in some bad stuff. I think Jude Law is best at being like a romantic, charming person. And so I am a little nervous about can he be a charming father figure? Yes, as long as they let him do that. But as far as we all know Jedi go, they're, not supposed to be very emotional and have attachments, and I think that's where he strides, so I'm curious.
Do we need more kids in Star Wars, D?
Yes. They're untapped market. Indoctrinate them all, just as I've done with my own kids.
Okay, but what's the worst part about Obi-Wan? Why is there a child in it?
What? It was the Depression. What are you talking about?
I just don't understand that storyline.
Well, they couldn't do another MacGuffin.
Do you have anything on Skeleton Crew? Oh, Aaron. I was wondering. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer. It's been a really long time since I've seen Alfie, so I don't know where that's gonna go.
Not safe for kids, Alfie.
Right. I'm sure it'll be good. I think a Stranger Things with lightsabers sounds good.
It's a good call. That's a good call. I'm sure they're
I
trying
like that kind of sell. That sounds good.
Oh, you need to find the holocrons.
But are these kids or are these? Well, I guess
kids. I think Stranger Things with
there's a mixture.
Yeah, Stranger Things with lightsabers, I think, is exactly what they're like gonna put on.
I
the
like
box,
that.
I think.
Aaron brought me back. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Ew, kids.
There's been a reshoot Stand By Me, but like with like aliens. Same thing.
Oh, I dig it. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, or three things I should say, that were announced during Star Wars Celebration, are three brand new movies. We're getting 3 movies, and they're we're not getting a new trilogy or anything else. They're going to take place at completely different parts of the Star Wars kind of timeline. One going back very, very far. They're calling it the Dawn of the Jedi. That's not the name quite yet, but that's the theme. And this is going to be by James Mangold, the director behind Logan, amongst other things, the new Indiana Jones movie as well. But this is going to kind of detail the Dawn of the Jedi, potentially the first ever Jedi, and how that came to be in the Star Wars universe. Always once again, as long as you take us away from the Skywalker saga and kind of introduce new characters, new locations, and everything else, we'll probably go back to Tatooine. Tatooine probably existed, right? But yeah, anything to freshen it up. And James Mangold, I was looking at his IMDb. I didn't realize how much I like the dude. He also did 3:10 to Yuma, and God, what else was on there? I forget, but Logan's enough. You're telling me the dude who did Logan is doing a Star Wars movie. That I'm pretty sold right there. What do you think? Is there much in the expanded universe covering the creation of the Jedi, Aaron?
Yeah. It's somewhat similar to the Sith, where it was previously a race that became more of a creed than an actual group of people. I'm sure they're gonna. I'm sure they're not going to follow that, because that's not as interesting as one person discovering the Force and then writing the tenets of the Jedi. But generally, it's just Force sensitives started coming together in one place, and then they took the name of another thing. I think it's probably going to be tied into Survivor, seeing as one of the planets you're on is called Jedha, and is really it talks about Force sensitive people being there a lot, and who knows if it's setting up. I also think that part of the reason that they're keeping what's his name that plays Cal Kestis, I think they're going to transfer him into the actual film or show world at some point.
Why not?
They're getting close to the time when he exists in the same timeline as a lot of what happens in Star Wars, and if they have him survive behind the scenes, he could even meet people after it's not called Shadows of the Empire anymore, but after the original trilogy and stuff too. So
yeah, definitely. I could see it. In fact, one of the movies, the Dave Filoni movie that they announced, he's the kind of creator, showrunner of the Clone Wars, as well as Bad Batch and a lot of other stuff now in the Star Wars universe. Kind of the head of at least their animation wing. They're doing a wrap-up movie that is going to kind of intersect the stories of the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and it very well I could see it very well intersecting with like the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor storylines. Like you said, it's a lot of kind of intersecting timelines, where you could easily have Cal show up in live action in a movie led by Dave Filoni, who, for the most part, for me, like, hasn't missed. I think a lot of the animation stuff has kind of been the top tier.
I love the animation stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how it's expanded things, made sense, like fit really well in the universe while still introducing new characters and everything else. And from all the talk, Dave Filoni has like his hand in all of that. Like he's been a big like creative force for that. So what, like, do we want to see like some kind of, because I guess you'd probably also have like Thrawn in there as a big bad, like a Thanos type situation. It very much feels like an MCU type thing, like wrapping up all these different properties and having like a big battle in a movie. Does that work for Star Wars? Like, you think so, Kayla? Yeah.
I think, well, for one, we know Dave Filoni is friends with Jon Favreau. So
right.
He's got somebody to lean on that has done it before and can maybe help him if he needed help, but I don't think he does.
Yeah, he's got probably all of Disney at his back for that one, without a doubt. How about you, Aaron? Like, does it work trying to create this kind of MCU thing?
I think so, as long as they give the weight to the characters that are bigger draw. Like, if it's like to side characters in the Mandalorian and stuff, I wouldn't think it'd work. But with Cal Kestis and Ahsoka Tano and the Mandalorian himself, I think it would all work really well. So I just don't. I don't know how you tie them together, since they all three kind of fight for separate things. Even the Mandalorian, it'll be hard to anyways, because they kind of hamstrung themselves by making Grogu 50 years old. Like, at the rate he gets older, there's no way he's ever going to be able to participate in anything. Like fully, like, he's 300 years from being a teenager, like, level. So, but for the rest of the characters, I think it'd be a pretty cool crossover. Obviously, there's not as many as Marvel has in their catalog, but it's still pretty cool to see them all in the same medium.
Well, you'd have the Scooter Gang from Boba Fett,
yeah.
So that's like.
I gotta say, I'm so disappointed that we got Cad Bane and then.
Oh no.
Same episode.
Doesn't seem like we'll have more Cad Bane.
He was in and he was out.
Poor Cad Bane. What a character.
I was excited.
And then, last but not least, the final movie that was announced, and I'm gonna butcher the director's name. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, one of the principal writers on Ms. Marvel, which I really enjoyed. She's going to be helming a new Rey movie. It's going to be after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and the little bit of details that they've kind of provided are it's going to be Rey trying to rebuild the Order in some way, shape, or form. Maybe learning from the mistakes that Luke made in all of that, and doing it in her own way. I really dug Rey as a character, and for the most part, I really liked her kind of, from where we meet her in Force Awakens to where we leave her in Rise of Skywalker. I like that whole arc for the most part, and I just want to see Daisy Ridley on screen again. I thought like she was gonna be everywhere after Star Wars, because I thought she was really charming and really cool and everything else, and then I don't know, she was in a bad movie with Tom Holland apparently, and I don't know what else, but yeah, I'm excited for a new Rey movie. I've already said that, don't do any more Skywalker stuff, but we're getting more Skywalker stuff. How do you feel about that?
I think if they lean into her truly trying to understand who the Jedi were, and we're looking at that as a device for her to really, fully complete her like self actualization as like a Jedi master, I think it could work because you have this part of my least favorite part of Last Jedi was, oh, a Jedi temple. Oh, we might actually learn something about the Jedi before, the Republic that fell, the Council. And then, we just get blue balled, and that didn't sit well with me. I didn't like that. I like world building. I like lore. I hope they use that as like her vehicle to like get to that. Oh, now I am a master and have taken under a Padawan. I don't need a whole school at the end. Let her have a Padawan. Let her take one. That's me though.
Yeah, could be a Wookiee. One thing I didn't mention in the Acolyte, they announced that there's going to be a Wookiee Jedi. So we need more Wookiee Jedi. Kayla, what do you think about going back to Rey's storyline and everything?
I think I also really liked Miss Marvel. So knowing that I have seen this person take like a young girl story and make it something that was entertaining and inspiring, I have faith in that. I don't know where they'll go with it. That's an interesting thought, D. I'm kind of team fuck the Jedi Order, but I'd watch it. I don't know what they'll do. I don't know.
Yeah. You release a Star Wars movie, we're gonna go see it. We are those marks, aren't we?
Yes.
Gosh.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse.
Okay, one last thing on the Rey thing, really quick. Then.
Yeah.
I think Kayla, speaking to like the whole Jedi Order thing, I personally don't want her to start a Jedi Order. I want her to understand what they did, like learn from what they did wrong, which they did clearly do wrong. Otherwise, it wouldn't have fallen apart so easily. And through that, be like, okay, well, maybe the Jedi they weren't the true Jedi. That wasn't that. And then her having to dig deeper and learn about like the different eras, which I think will be a good way to connect to the Acolyte.
Yeah, I wonder, because she does have like a weird mental part of her Force powers where I don't understand why she was tripping, but she tripped. And I think that actually would be interesting. Her like finding a book and being like teleported into those areas to learn them. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, they set the precedent, especially just the first movie, Force Awakens, she touches the lightsaber and she's like fully having an out of body experience. So there's precedent for it to happen. I'm kind of in your camp. I don't know how they're gonna do it without just her reviving the Jedi Order, which is flawed.
It's an opportunity to, I kind of mentioned some of the characters that unfortunately they just kind of let fall to the wayside in that final trilogy. Finn, Maz Kanata, who I thought after the first one was like, oh man, who is this crazy alien lady who runs a bar and stuff and apparently knows something about the Force or whatever.
She knows things.
Yeah, and then we see a holocron or whatever of her at one point, and that's about it. And it's just like, there's lots of. Give me more Poe Dameron too, man.
Yes. Now you're talking.
I don't want no fucking Han Solo. Not a one. I don't want it.
I don't think we're gonna get any Han Solo. I think we're pretty...
I don't want young, old, in between. I don't want none of it.
Oh, poor Alden Ehrenreich.
Donald Glover Fine. We can do that. Whatever his name is, I can't think of it.
Solo 2. Let's get Solo 2.
Lando.
What is
Lando Jr. Lando Jr.
I'm fine with that.
They'll
That's
do some
okay.
time travel stuff and they could meet each other because, Lando made it out in that last one. So
Hey, like I said, Lando Jr. clones are a thing. You can do a bunch of stuff.
I dig it. Yeah. Solo underrated, I think. I think that's an underrated movie. That one's not bad. But just to wrap it up, I wanted to I mentioned the MCU quite a bit because it looks like Star Wars is maybe kind of sort of trending in a similar direction. They're going off in a lot of they got shows, they got movies, they got video games, and they're trying to maybe combine them a little bit. The MCU maybe on a little bit of a downturn lately. I think we're all in agreement on that one. I don't know if anyone's like super pumped for everything the MCU's throwing out right now. What do we feel stronger about right now? Like the potential, we know some things coming up for the MCU and we know some things that are coming up for Star Wars, and then we can always hope and dream for additional stuff. Which one do we think is kind of got the more momentum at this point? I'll start off with D. What do you think?
I think the momentum has been it's favoring Star Wars. I think since it's already got like its grip on us anyway. Like you said, they put a movie out. We're gonna see it. We're gonna watch it. For better or worse, if it's good or bad. So I think Star Wars and then they're just putting out some really good like quality content. It's not always like the best stories, but the love and the care is there, and you can see there's some kind of like intention behind it, and that's really making me come back to it a lot of the time.
Nice.
They're doing a lot of like fun stuff with it too. Like with the Tales of the Jedi and the Vision stuff. Like that's just like things that seem like they're for the fans who want to be creative and just want a little taste of something different. I also think Star Wars kind of leads it because yes, both Star Wars and the MCU have had a lot of stuff come out lately, a lot of hits, a lot of misses. But I think if you ask a lot of people, I think MCU is missing a lot more than Star Wars is.
Right now, yeah, I think I'd probably agree. Where are you on it, Aaron? What's your kind of comparison between the two?
Sorry, I was muted. I can't honestly. I get excited for Star Wars stuff. I can't remember the last Marvel thing I was like excited for. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, oh, they made another movie. Like I was not pumped at all. I don't know. I don't know what they could do now. I think maybe they don't have much more to tell. Like they made stuff evolve. Almost all of their heavy hitters that they have the rights to. Like what are they gonna like? We gonna have to like just wait while they try to make these B-roll heroes into like main movie subjects. I don't know how that's gonna go.
It's a bunch of kids.
Oh no.
You know how I feel about kids.
Yeah, we're gonna have Young Avengers versus the Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, but Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait a minute. That sounds backwards.
Yeah, now you're
That
selling
sounds
me.
backwards.
Those are older kids. I'm in as well. Those are teens.
Aaron, I think you got it backwards here.
All right. If it wasn't for the writer's strike, I'd be out there writing these movies. So
Gotta get paid.
Yeah, Aaron's big on solidarity, but someday.
Oh
someday.
no, I'm scabbing, y'all. I'm scabbing. Sorry. Yeah,
I like your. I think we should make this Ray movie.
I got a mortgage to pay. Like
right. Oh, well, that was good. That was fun talking Star Wars. I think I agree. I think everyone kind of on here is maybe a little more hyped for what Star Wars has to offer coming up. There's some big things. I think I misspoke a little bit. I'm looking at the script, and I need to tomorrow, May the 4th, we are getting Vision season 2. I think I said Tales of the Jedi season 2. So I would take Tales of the Jedi season 2.
Yeah, either one would be great.
This is my prediction. You know, they're gonna shadow drop it, but don't hold me to that.
They should.
But yeah, Vision season 2, we get it tomorrow. I saw IGN already gave it a 9 in their review.
Ooh.
So pretty excited for that. The trailer looks fantastic. The animation looks really good. And that first season was cool. There were some hits and some misses, but all of the animation was really cool. So is
anyone? Jedi, so good.
Tales Jedi.
It tells you the studio behind Wallace and Gromit is doing an episode. It looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm so excited that they kind of were like, okay, gave anime a chance, now internationally. Everybody go crazy. So it's gonna. I'm really excited for that. Just as a animation nerd.
Yeah. So after you listen to this episode, everyone, hitting May the 4th, go ahead and check out Visions. Or do it at the same time. Just it'll be weird listening to this while you're watching that, but I feel like that'll be good without the sound. You'll hear us.
Subtitles.
Yeah. Boom. Just be efficient is what I'm saying. All the good stuff. That was it. That was our Star Wars talk for episode 125 of the Machine of Nonsense. You know what I don't do enough, guys? I don't thank you for being here. I always do it after the episode, not on the recording. But D, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Oh,
Aaron, thank you so much for being here and sharing your expanded universe knowledge.
So it was most of my childhood. It has to go somewhere.
And Kayla, thank you for keeping the ship sailing.
I'll be the wind in your sails.
Oh, hey, look at that. She's getting mushy. Yeah, episode 125 of The Machine of Nonsense is out of here. We're getting out of here, and we're saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, guys. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Bye.
May the Force be with you.